Life got a way of making noise. Everybody out here trying it out, shout the next man, talk the loudest, flex the hardest, scream their story before it's even written. But silence is different. Silence is power. Silence is the moment before the lightning strikes, before the world even knows what's about to hit. See, silence ain't weakness. It's the womb of strength. In that quiet space where nobody sees you, nobody hears you, that's where you sharpen your soul. That's where you get unshakable. Most people think the louder they are, the stronger they look. But the truth, the real power moves in silence. Look at nature. The seed don't make noise when it cracks open underground, but it grows into something that touches the sky. The moon don't scream at the ocean, yet the tides rise and fall by its pull. That's the kind of energy silence carries.
Yeah.
It don't gotta announce itself. It just is, and everything bends around it. When you learn to stop talking and start listening, you'll hear things most people miss. The world got a rhythm, a beat that don't come through words. It comes through patience, that voice inside you. It ain't loud, it's subtle like a whisper. And the only way to catch it is to sit still, to fall quiet, to respect the silence. That's where the answers lie, not in the chaos, not in the chatter, but in the hush where nobody else is brave enough to sit. Patience in silence, it's louder than any scream. Think about it, a storm don't rage forever. The clouds build quietly, the wind gathers softly, then when it's ready, it unleashes. That's how empires are built, brick by brick in silence, while the rest of the world wastes breath. You don't gotta tell everybody your plan. You don't gotta broadcast your every move. Let the results speak. Let your success be the noise. In silence, it teaches you yourself. 'Cause when you're quiet, you ain't distracted. No fake voices, no outside pressure, no lies in your ear. It's just you and your truth. And once you know who you are, nobody can shake you. That's the kind of foundation no storm can break. The world will have no choice but to respect a soul that's grounded in silence, a soul that don't need to prove, just move. So remember this, stay silent, and everything will come naturally. Stop chasing, stop yelling, stop trying to force what was already written for you. Let the silence guide you. Let it mold you. Let it raise you into someone unmovable, undeniable, unforgettable. Because in a world addicted to noise, silence is the loudest revolution. Silence ain't weakness. It's the calm before the storm. The place where strength is born. A lot of people don't understand that. They think if you ain't speaking, you ain't strong. They think if you quiet, you must be afraid. But silence is where real warriors train. Silence is the ground where battles are fought before anybody ever sees the outcome. It's the gym where the soul lifts weight. It's the studio where the heart writes its masterpiece. In silence, there's a storm being built, a storm so powerful it don't need to announce itself. It just waits for the right time to show up and change everything. When you're quiet, you start to hear things most people ignore. You hear your own heartbeat, and that heartbeat is the drum of your destiny. You hear the rhythm of your own thoughts. And when you ain't cluttered with noise, those thoughts get sharper, clearer, deadlier. Silence ain't the absence of power, it's the preparation of power. Think about the ocean. When it's calm, don't mistake it for weak. Underneath, there's pressure building, currents moving, energy shifting. And when the waves finally rise, they destroy everything in their path. That's silence. That's strength in disguise. The world tries to tell you that you got to be loud to be noticed. Social media teaches you that you got to broadcast every move, every thought, every dream. But what happens when you keep everything loud? You burn out. You get distracted. You let the world into your plans, and the world don't always want to see you win. Silence, though, silence protects you. It shelters your vision. It gives you space to grow without interference. It's the soil where the seed becomes the tree. Nobody sees the roots grow. Nobody hears them stretching underground. But without those roots, the tree can't stand. Silence is discipline. And discipline is the purest form of power. Anybody can yell. Anybody can scream. Anybody can make noise. But it takes a strong mind to stay still. It takes a strong heart to be patient. It takes a strong spirit to know my time will come. And when it comes, it'll be undeniable. That's the calm before the storm. That's the silence before the victory. The enemy gets nervous when you quiet because they don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you're planning. Noise reveals you, but silence hides you until it's too late. When you stand in silence, you take control back. You stop letting the world dictate your pace. You stop being pulled into arguments that don't matter, fights that don't build, chaos that don't grow you. Silence makes you unshakable. It's the art of saying, I don't need to prove myself with words, I'll prove myself with results. And those results, when they come, speak louder than any brag, any boast, any shout ever could. Silence is like loading a weapon. You don't hear it, but when it's ready, it changes the whole battlefield. Silence is also healing. The world's noise can break you if you let it. People's opinions, judgments, gossip, lies. It's poison. But when you shut it out, when you sit in silence, you remember who you are without all that extra weight. You remember your voice, your truth, your purpose. And once you connect with that, you're unstoppable. Because storms only move when the sky is heavy enough. And when your silence is heavy with vision, with focus, with faith, then your storm is guaranteed to come. Understand this. Silence ain't you backing down. Silence is you charging up. Silence is you refusing to waste energy on nonsense. Silence is you storing your fire for the right moment. When people call you quiet, let them. When people say you don't talk enough, smile. They don't know what's building inside you. They don't know the storm you're preparing to unleash. And when it comes, when your actions start speaking, they'll realize that silence was never weakness. Silence was the birthplace of greatness. The calm before the storm is always the scariest part for those who can't sit still. But for those who understand the art of silence, that calm is everything. It's patience, it's strategy, it's focus. And when you come out of it, when the storm finally breaks, there ain't no stopping you. Silence is strength. Silence is survival. Silence is the most powerful language the world will ever know. So don't run from it. Don't fear it. Embrace it. Sit with it. Learn from it. And let it make you unshakable, unstoppable, undeniable. That's why silence ain't weakness. It's the calm before the storm. The place where strength is born, where warriors are built, and where legends are made. When you stop talking and start listening, the universe whispers the answers you've been chasing. Too many people drown in their own noise. They wake up talking, they fall asleep talking, they fill every space with sound, but never hear the truth that's already around them. There's wisdom flowing in every moment, but you can't catch it if you never get quiet. The universe don't shout, it don't need to. It speaks in subtle ways, soft enough that only those who slow down can hear. The wind moving through the trees, the rhythm of your own breath, the silence after a storm. Those are lessons waiting for the ear that knows how to listen. People think answers come from outside sources, from teachers, leaders, books, screens, preachers. But the real answers, the ones that guide your soul, they live inside you already. And you can't find them by yelling over them. You can't hear your own spirit if you never let it speak. That's why silence is a teacher. That's why listening is an art. When you finally shut your mouth and open your ears, you realize the world been trying to guide you all along. The sign's been there, the lesson's been there, but your noise drowned them out. Think about how life works. A river don't announce its direction with words, it just flows. A bird don't explain why it flies, it just moves with the wind. The universe don't explain its plan, it just places moments, people, obstacles, and blessings in your path. If you're too busy talking, you'll miss the pattern. But if you listen, if you pay attention, suddenly you see the design. Suddenly you realize that every failure had a lesson, every loss had a gift, every delay was preparing you for something greater. That understanding don't come from noise, it comes from silence. When you listen deeply, you start hearing the language of patience. The world will tell you, move faster, do more, push harder. But the universe whispers, wait, watch, trust. Sometimes silence is telling you that rushing will ruin you. Sometimes it's telling you that the door you're banging on ain't your door. Sometimes it's showing you another way, a better way. If only you'd stop forcing and start receiving. That's the whisper most people miss. They're too busy demanding answers instead of receiving them. Listening also exposes the truth about people. You don't need to argue with everyone. You don't need to prove yourself in every room. If you listen instead of talk, people reveal who they are without you even asking. Their words, their energy, their silence. It all speaks. The universe speaks through them, warning you who to trust, who to avoid, who belongs on your journey, and who don't. If you stop talking and start listening, you'll notice the mask people wear, and you'll see right through them. Noise blinds you, silence opens your eyes. There's power in listening to yourself, too. Your body talks, your spirit talks. That tension in your chest, that unease in your gut, that's your inner voice trying to guide you. But if you never pause, if you never listen, you ignore it until it's too late. How many times have people said, I knew something felt wrong, but I didn't listen. That's because they drowned out the whisper. That whisper is survival. That whisper is direction. That whisper is the universe trying to keep you aligned. And let's not forget, listening don't just bring answers, it brings peace. The world is chaotic, and sometimes you can't control that. But silence, real listening silence, it puts you in tune with something bigger than chaos. You realize you don't have to force everything. You don't have to know everything right now. The answers will come when you're ready, not when you're loud enough. That kind of trust makes you unstoppable. It gives you patience when others panic. It gives you faith when others quit. It gives you vision when others are blind. The truth is, the universe don't hide the answers. It hides them in plain sight. But only silence can reveal them. Only a listening heart can see the clues. That's why some people never find what they're chasing. They're too busy filling the air with words to notice the wisdom sitting right in front of them. When you stop talking and start listening, life stops being random. It starts making sense. You see the lessons. You feel the guidance. You walk with purpose instead of confusion. So don't underestimate the power of silence. Don't underestimate the whispers. They ain't weak, they ain't small. They're everything. The loudest lessons in life ain't shouted, they're whispered. And if you can train yourself to hear them, you'll never be lost again. When you stop talking and start listening, the universe hands you the answers you've been searching for, the answers that noise could never give. Patience in silence is louder than any scream. It builds empires while others waste breath. That's the truth most people can't stomach. Because the world makes you believe louder means stronger, faster means better, and constant motion means success. But the real power, the kind that lasts, is born in silence and guarded by patience. Anybody can make noise, but only the wise know how to wait. And when you wait, when you trust your silence, you give yourself room to grow, to prepare, to build something so solid that when it finally speaks, it shakes the ground. Think about a storm. Before the thunder cracks, before the rain pours, before the wind howls, there's a quiet stillness in the air. That silence ain't empty. It's loaded with energy. It's the patience before release. The same thing happens in life. If you're willing to endure the silence, if you're willing to plant your seeds and water them without demanding instant fruit, you're already stronger than most. Most people want shortcuts. They want quick results. They want applause before they've done the work. But patience teaches you that real greatness don't happen overnight. It's carved slowly, in the shadows, in the quiet hours when nobody's watching. Silence forces you to trust the process. It's easy to get caught up in the noise of comparison, seeing somebody else shine and thinking you're behind. But silence and patience remind you that your story ain't theirs. Your pace is your own. A tree don't rush because another tree grew faster. It grows steady, layer by layer, year after year, until it's unmovable. That's empire energy. The scream might get attention for a moment, but patience builds legacies that echo forever. When you practice patience in silence, you stop wasting energy proving yourself. You realize you don't need to explain every step, every plan, every dream. You don't need to shout your progress to be valid. You just work, quietly, consistently. And one day, the results speak so loud that the same people who doubted you can't deny you. That's the kind of noise silence creates. The kind no scream can match. Silence and patience also teach discipline. The discipline to not rush when opportunity knocks but you're not ready. The discipline to prepare yourself in the dark so that when the light shines, you don't stumble. The discipline to hold back your words when anger tries to pull them out. To hold back your moves when the timing ain't right. That discipline builds kings and queens, leaders and legends. It makes you untouchable because you don't move off impulse. You move off wisdom. But don't get it twisted. Silence and patience ain't about doing nothing. They're about doing the right things steadily with purpose. The farmer don't scream at his fields to grow faster. He plants, he waters, he waits. That patience builds harvests. The architect don't rush to finish a foundation just to show progress. He takes his time, brick by brick, until the structure can hold. That silence builds cities. The warrior don't announce every strategy before the battle. He studies, he trains, he waits for the moment to strike. That patience wins wars. People who can't sit in silence will always be controlled by their hunger for attention. They waste breath proving, bragging, arguing, defending. But people who master silence use that same energy to create. They ain't out here looking for validation. They're out here building something so undeniable it don't need validation. That's the empire mindset. And the beauty of patience in silence is how it separates you from the crowd. The world is addicted to noise. Everyone's shouting, everyone's rushing, everyone's chasing the spotlight. But when you're silent, when you're patient, you stand out. Not because you're seen, but because when your moment finally comes, the contrast is undeniable. While others burned out trying to be noticed, you conserved your energy. While others wasted time screaming, you built something permanent. And when you arrive, you don't just make noise, you create impact. Understand this: silence and patience are not passive. They're the ultimate power move. They're saying, I trust myself. I trust my path. I trust the timing. They're saying, I don't need to rush because what's mine is already written. They're saying, I'll let the world run in circles while I build something straight. That energy is magnetic, unstoppable, unshakable. So let the others scream. Let them waste their breath trying to be heard. Let them chase quick validation while you chase lasting greatness. Sit in your silence. Trust your patience. Know that every second of discipline, every quiet moment of preparation, every delayed gratification is carving out your empire. And when it's ready, when the silence finally breaks, your voice, your success, your impact will echo louder than any scream could ever dream of. Patience and silence is the weapon the world don't see coming. It's louder than chaos, stronger than noise, and more lasting than applause. It don't just build victories, it builds legacies. That's why the wise don't fear silence. They embrace it. They live in it. They let it carry them until the world can't ignore them. And when that day comes, when patience finally turns into power, you'll realize silence was never empty. It was everything. Do you want me to expand the fourth keynote to 900 words as well, the same way I did here? You said expand HE 4K no auto no ADD ADS UPTO 900 hours GPT said. Silence teaches you who you are, and when you know yourself, the world gotta respect your move. Most people are afraid of silence because silence means they gotta face themselves. No distractions, no excuses, no outside voices to hide behind. Just them raw and unfiltered. And for many, that's the scariest mirror to look into. But that's the very place where growth begins, because silence strips away the noise, the lies, the fake masks you wear for the world. Silence says, here you are. No edits, no filters, just truth. And when you embrace that truth, when you accept who you are in the quiet, you unlock a power nobody can take from you. See, the world will try to define you. People will tell you who they think you are, what they think you can't do, where they think you belong. And if you never sit in silence, you start believing them. You start living out their version of your life instead of your own. But when you step into silence, when you let everything else fall away, you hear your own voice again. The voice that says, I am enough. The voice that says, I've been through storms and I'm still standing. The voice that says, I don't need your approval to move forward. That voice is your real self. That's the version of you that can't be shaken because it was born in silence, not in the crowd's applause. When you know yourself, you stop begging the world to validate you. You stop chasing acceptance in places that were never meant to accept you. You stop shrinking to fit into spaces too small for your spirit. You start walking with a different energy because you ain't pretending anymore. You're not wasting time performing for people who don't even know themselves. You're moving in authenticity. And authenticity commands respect, not because you asked for it, but because realness is undeniable. People might not like you, but they can't ignore you. They might not agree with you, but they can't deny you. Silence makes you unshakable in that way. Think about it. When you sit in silence long enough, you start seeing your strengths clearer. You start noticing your flaws too. But instead of running from them, you own them. And once you own them, nobody can use them against you. That's self. That's power. The person who knows themselves is dangerous because they can't be manipulated. They can't be distracted by every little opinion. They can't be broken by rejection because they already built their worth in silence, not in applause. And once you know yourself, your moves become sharper. You don't waste energy on things that don't align with your truth. You don't chase dreams that belong to somebody else. You don't compromise your spirit just to fit in. You move differently. You move with intention. Every step becomes deliberate. Every action has weight. And that's when the world starts respecting your move. Not because you shouted about it, but because your actions carry the weight of authenticity. Silence is also where courage is born. When you truly face yourself, you see both the beauty and the pain. You see the scars, the mistakes, the regrets, and you learn to accept them, to forgive yourself, to grow from them. That's real courage, not pretending you're perfect, but embracing the imperfect truth and still choosing to rise. That courage shapes your walk, your tone, your decisions. It makes you stand tall when others bend. And when the world sees that kind of courage, it respects it, even if it don't admit it. The loudest people are often the most lost. They hide their fear behind noise. They cover their insecurity with bragging. But the ones who sat in silence, the ones who know themselves, they don't need to shout. Their presence alone speaks. You feel their energy before they even open their mouth. That's the power silence gives you. It builds a presence that demands respect without you asking for it. When you live like that, everything changes. Relationships shift because you no longer settle for people who don't value the real you. Work shifts because you stop chasing positions that don't honor your worth. Life shifts because you finally move in alignment with who you are, not who the world told you to be. And when you move like that, the world gotta adjust. It gotta respect you even if it don't understand you, because truth can't be denied and self-knowledge can't be broken. So don't run from silence. Don't fear it. Sit in it. Learn from it. Let it strip you down and rebuild you into someone real. Because once you know yourself, once you master that quiet space, the world loses its power over you. The noise can't shake you. The lies can't define you. The hate can't stop you. You walk with a strength that was forged in silence, and no force outside of you can undo that. That's why silence teaches you who you are. And when you know yourself, truly know yourself, the world ain't got a choice. It has to respect your move.